Buyers used to pay extra to tear walls out. Now, some of them are paying to put walls back. For about 20 years, the open floor plan was the closest thing American housing had to a sure bet. Every renovation show ended the same way, with a sledgehammer, a cloud of drywall dust, and one big triumphant room. Then the market quietly changed its mind, not with a headline, with 1,000 small hesitations at showings. If you own an open plan home and you're thinking about selling, this is the conversation your agent may be too polite to start. By the end, you'll know exactly what to change before you list. And none of it involves moving a wall. To understand why the turn matters, remember why the wall came down in the first place. The open plan solved real problems. Post-war houses were chopped into formal rooms nobody used. The cook was exiled from the party. Small houses felt dark and photographed even smaller. Knock out a wall and a modest house felt like twice the house, and the listing photos glowed. For 2 decades, that logic held. Openness photographed well, appraised well, and sold well. So builders stopped drawing walls and flippers kept removing them. But trends don't die when a better idea shows up. They die when the problem they solved stops being the problem people have. And somewhere in the last few years, the problem stopped being isolation and started being the impossibility of ever getting any. Because here's what nobody noticed. While the walls were coming down, walls were doing work. They stopped sound. They gave people somewhere to go. Then 2020 sent everyone home at the same time. And the great room became the great everything. Office, classroom, gym, kitchen, cinema, all at once, all in the same air. One person's video call now shares a room with the dishwasher, the blender, and whatever the kids are watching. And sound has nowhere to die in an open plan. Hard floors, tall ceilings, no doors, every noise belongs to everyone. So when buyers walk into that big, beautiful room today, plenty of them aren't picturing a dinner party anymore. They're picturing a Tuesday. They're picturing trying to concentrate while someone makes lunch 20 feet away. Privacy used to sound old-fashioned. Now it's a feature, and it's one of the few features you can't add back cheaply, which brings us to the door problem. A huge share of buyers now work from home at least part of the week, and those buyers tour houses, counting one thing: doors that close. A desk in the corner of the living room is not an office. It's a reminder that the house doesn't have one, and this isn't a niche buyer anymore. Remote and hybrid work have settled in as a lasting feature of the market, which means the person counting doors might be every second buyer walking through yours. Given 2 homes with the same square footage, the one carved into more rooms suddenly reads as the more useful house, which is a complete reversal of how we thought a decade ago. Back then, extra walls read as wasted space. Now they read as options. An open plan hands the buyer one enormous room and asks them to solve it. Buyers don't want a puzzle. They want a door. Then there's the bill for all that air. An open plan is one giant volume, and you condition all of it or none of it. There's no shutting the door to the room you're not using, because there is no door and there is no room. If the ceiling is vaulted, the warm air you paid for spends the evening hovering where nobody lives. Energy prices have climbed enough in recent years that buyers have started asking to see utility bills. And a big open box with lots of glass rarely tells a flattering story. A closed plan lets you heat where you actually live. An open plan makes you heat the whole stage, even when the show is just you on the couch. And here's the objection sellers almost never see coming. An open plan is brutal to show. In a traditional home, a buyer discovers the house room by room. There's a reveal. In an open plan, they get everything in one glance from the front door. And that glance includes the kitchen sink. One coffee cup on the counter is visible from the entry. There's nowhere to hide the daily life of a family, because hiding is exactly what the layout was designed to eliminate. And notice the trap here. Wide-angle lenses love open plans, so the layout that photographs best often shows worst. And all that strong online interest melts at the door. Buyers stand in the doorway, take in the whole house in 4 seconds, and some quiet part of their brain concludes there's less here than the square footage claims. So how does all of this show up in the sale? Rarely as an honest sentence. Almost no buyer says the open plan is the problem. They say it feels loud in here. They ask where a desk would go, and the agent doesn't have an answer. They wonder out loud what it costs to heat, and then they do the math on adding a partition or a glassed-in office, subtract that number from their offer, and round down for the hassle. To be fair, none of this shows up neatly in national statistics because layout is almost impossible to isolate in the data. It shows up in your showings to offers ratio. It shows up in your days on market, stretching past the neighborhood average, while the choppy little colonial down the street goes under contract in a weekend. The sellers who get hurt worst never connect the dots. They just watch the showings pile up, without a second visit, drop the price, and blame the market. The market is fine. The market just walked in your front door, saw one undifferentiated room, and couldn't picture Tuesday working there. When a layout narrows your buyer pool, you don't hear complaints. You hear silence, and silence is expensive. Now, the good news, and it's genuinely good, buyers don't actually need walls. They need answers. The question an open plan fails to answer is what happens where. And you can answer it with furniture. Designers call it zoning, and it costs a few weekends, not a renovation. Start with the sofa, because it's the biggest wall you own, pull it off the perimeter and float it back facing the kitchen, and you've just drawn the line where the living room begins. Put a console table against its back with a pair of lamps, and that line becomes architecture. Next, rugs. One rug per zone, and go bigger than feels natural. Big enough that the front legs of every piece in the zone sit on it. A rug that's too small reads as a bath mat. A rug that's right reads as a floor plan. Then light, which is the most underrated wall in the house. One bright ceiling flooding the whole space says warehouse. A pendant hung low over the dining table, a floor lamp arched over a reading chair, lamps glowing on that console. Now you've got pools of light, and every pool reads as a room. Where you need real separation, build at half height or see-through. An open-backed bookshelf standing perpendicular to the wall, a folding screen behind a desk, a pair of tall plants flanking a walkway. And if you have a little budget left, the next tier up is still renovation-free. A freestanding glass partition, or a curtain on a ceiling track that walls off the office corner during the workday and disappears by dinner. Buyers get the openness and the option, which is exactly the combination the market is paying for now. You're not closing the plan, you're punctuating it. Before you list, walk through this punch list. First, give every zone a job and make the job obvious. The one buyers pay for right now is the office. So stage a real one. An actual desk, an actual chair, a lamp facing away from the kitchen. Screened if you can manage it. You're not furnishing. You're answering the question every remote worker will silently ask. Second, kill the echo. Bare open plans sound hollow, and buyers hear it before they understand it. Layer in the rugs, hang curtains even where you think you don't need them, add upholstery, and throw pillows. Soft surfaces make a big room sound settled. Third, treat the kitchen like it's in every photo, because in an open plan it is. Counters cleared to almost nothing. Sink empty for every single showing. Fourth, give the entry its own small zone, a bench, a mirror, a rug, so the house begins with a threshold instead of dumping visitors straight into the living room. It slows the eye down and restores a little of the reveal the floor plan took away. Fifth, stand at your front door and photograph exactly what you see, because that view is your first impression and probably your listing's lead image. If it looks like one confused room, keep rearranging until it looks like three purposeful ones. And finally, resist the urge to strip the space empty. Empty makes an open plan worse. It turns the house back into the thing buyers are wary of. A big undefined volume with a kitchen at one end. The open floor plan didn't fail because it stopped being beautiful. It failed because it made one confident bet that a home's whole job is togetherness, and then life came home and demanded focus, quiet, and the occasional closed door. You can't rewrite that bet before your listing goes live, but you don't have to. Walls were only ever one way of making rooms. Furniture, light, and a little intention are another. The sellers who figure this out spend a few $100s in a weekend. the ones who don't spend a price cut, because buyers don't purchase square footage. They purchase the week they can picture living inside it, the call taken in peace, the dinner cooking while homework happens somewhere else. Give your big open room 3 or 4 good answers to the question of Tuesday, and it stops being the reason your house sits. The open plan promised everyone togetherness. Your job before you list is to prove it also knows how to leave you alone.